Hey guys, so this is a very impromptu unhaul. Lighting is awful. I'm not all dolled up or anything, but I was just going through my bookshelves and I was like, I have to get rid of these books. I don't feel like waiting until time when I can like plan to sit down and be all makeup and hair and the whole 9 yards to just tell you what books I'm getting rid of. So we're just gonna do this, and I don't know what happened to the little adapter on my tripod that holds my cell phone, which is what I film on. So we're just gonna have to deal with what this is. All right, let's get to it. So I have a whole host of books that I'm going to be getting rid of. Some of these I have gotten from Goodwill. Some I've won in like Goodreads giveaway because, okay, I'm gonna like confession time here. Back when I first found Goodreads and found the giveaways, I was like, that's so cool. Like, you get books for free, like you win them. So I entered into everything, even if I wasn't interested in the book. I didn't even pay attention to what I was entering into. I was just like, I'm gonna enter all of these because I never win giveaways. And I found out that by doing that, you actually do win quite a few giveaways. So I have a lot of books that, quite honestly, I never would have picked up if I was at the bookstore. It's just, they were sent to me. Other books I have, like I got in boxes of books that I've gotten, like free books, and I went to Half Price Books the other day for the first time, and they had like these mystery bags. So they had their bags actually full of books, and for $25 you could take the bag and you get all the books that are inside of it, and they happen to be mystery themed books. Unfortunately, a couple of those were in a series, and quite honestly they're not a series that I'm going to ever look into, so I'm going to get rid of those. And I have a bunch of ARCs I'm getting rid of because I'm either never going to read them or I'll read them on audiobook or something like that. So anyways, let's get into the video. Okay, so the first couple books here I have, this is Close Your Eyes by Iris and Roy Johnston, I think is how you pronounce their last name. This book actually I do want to read. It's just like a mystery thriller kind of book. I do want to read it, but I want to read it on audiobook. I actually really enjoy listening to my thrillers on audiobook, and it's kind of an older book, and the cover, it's not my favorite thing, and I need I don't have enough bookshelves, so I need to make room, so this one's going to go. But I do still have it on my to be read shelf on Goodreads because I do want to listen to the audiobook of that. That's the same with this next book. We have The Last Victim by Karen Roberts. My reading ability is not great today. I think this one, yes, this one sounds really cool. It's like about a doctor. I think she is a criminal pathologist. So that sounds really interesting. I love those kind of books. So yeah, I think this is first book in the series, but again, I would much rather listen to this on audiobook because I just really love listening to thrillers on audiobook. It's an older book. It's been on my shelves for forever. And I'm like, I just need to make room for the new stuff that I'm getting that I like a lot more. So that one's gonna go. This one, The Man His Father Was by Pat Leonard. This one, actually, it seems pretty interesting. It goes through like multiple generations, and it has to do with the early American history, American settlers, Revolutionary War, the Protestants, and kind of pilgrims and that kind of thing. I do want to read this. It's just, again, it's a big book. It's one of these things that, like, honestly, I don't think I'm ever gonna just sit down and read it. I feel really bad. This is one I did win in a giveaway, and it is, well, I mean, the book's not personalized, but it has a personalized sticky note by the author. And I would really like to read it again, but I think this one I'm gonna look for an audiobook just because, I don't know, I've never picked it up. I don't see myself ever picking it up, and I don't need to keep books on my shelves that I'm never going to read, at least not in physical form. So this one's going. And the last book that I want to read on audiobook, that I would like to read someday, but I don't really want to own, is Violin by Anne Rice. And this was one I think I picked up I believe I probably got it at like Goodwill or something like that. It's got deckled edges, so it's nice. I mean, it's a nice copy, and it's in really good shape. It is quite dusty, and it's just been sitting on my shelf for so long that I'm like, again, I don't think I'm ever going to get to it. If I do, I'll probably pick it up on audiobook, or I'll pick it out from the library or something. And that's it. I'll be happy, whatever. That one's gonna go. All right, now getting into the books that I have no desire to read or read and didn't like. So we have A Temptest of Angels. This is A Temptation of Angels, sorry, by Michelle Zink. This was one that I found at Goodwill. I was going through this, like, I want all the paranormal book phases or whatever. And I've had it on my shelf for a while, and honestly, after reading it, I'm like, it's more romancy, I think, than paranormal, and I'm not a romance reader. I don't mind romance in my books, but I don't want it to be romance heavy, and this one seemed pretty romance heavy, so I'm like, I'm just gonna pass this one up. Next is Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. I know some of you might be like yelling at me, but honestly, it was just okay. Like, I wasn't a huge fan of the series. I think that the series for me was like a 3-star, like over the overarching of the series. This was a book of the month book, and I don't have the other two. This was like, I think, the very first book of the month book I got, and I had just read the other two on audiobook, and I was like, I need to get this one. But it's a beautiful cover. I mean, I love the iridescence of the snake and stuff is really pretty. But like I said, it wasn't a favorite. It was just an okay series to me. I'm not like enthralled with it. I don't plan on ever buying the first 2 books, so I'm just gonna go ahead and let someone else enjoy that. Next I have Paradox, and this is by Catherine Coulter. Again, this was another book that I picked up at Goodwill that at the time sounded really interesting, and now I just really have no interest in it. I do believe this might be like in a series. I can't remember for sure. But again, it's just not something that I'm going to pick up and read right away. So it's gonna go. Spanish for Dummies. I think this is a book that I've had for a really long time because I was trying to learn Spanish. I took Spanish in high school, or middle school and high school, and I don't really remember anything from it. Part of that was because I had a really awful teacher in high school. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know hardly any Spanish and I would like to relearn it. So I got this, but I'm like, nowadays I think I probably got this in high school. So like nowadays with all the technology and things online, I'm like, I don't need this book. I'm never gonna like sit down and actually go through it and all that. So The Cranberry Queen by Catherine DeMarco. This was another one I think I picked up at Goodwill. It seemed interesting at the time, but now I'm really learning more about my taste. I mean, I've always known what kind of books I've liked, but I wanted to like dabble in other things and kind of branch out a little bit. So I picked this one up. It's been on my shelves for probably over 5 years. Never read it, probably never will, so it's gonna go. That's the same with this one, The Bone Setter's Daughters by Amy Tan. Again, got it at Goodwill. Looked really good. I mean, it still sounds like it's a really good story. I think it's like a literary fiction or something like that, but you know, that's just not my genre. It's not my thing. And again, I'm trying to get my bookshelf down to, because I don't have room for all the books that I have. I'm trying to get my bookshelves down to books that I truly love and that I will actually read, you know, like within the future. And this one I don't think is one of them. So someone else can go enjoy this book. This is The Number One Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall Smith. And I actually have a copy of this already. I got this in one of the mystery bags that I bought from Half Price Books. This copy was in there, but I already have a copy, so this one's gonna go. American Girls About Town by multiple authors, and this one I actually kept because it's like about small town America, and I love America, small towns, that kind of thing. But I believe this is more like a contemporary, and I don't read contemporaries. I don't like contemporaries. I mean, this has made it through a couple UnHauls, so I'm like, I'll probably read it. I'm really interested in like the small town kind of thing, but it's just, again, it's not my vibe. So American Girls About Town is gonna go to somebody who hopefully it is their vibe. Okay, these next books are all books that I got in the mystery bag from Half Price Books, but are part of a series, and I'm not interested in starting this series. So we're gonna go through those. The first one is Max Allan Collins' Killing Quarry. This to me looks like a James Bond type of book. Honestly, I love James Bond's movies, but I don't think I'll be interested in reading these kind of books. So this one's going. Plus it's like, I don't know, it's quite far in the series, and I'm like, I am not going to go out and buy all of the books to catch up to this series. So if I ever feel like reading it, I'll get it from the library or something, but that one's gonna go. This honker, huge book. This is part of the Tom Clancy series, or is it Tom Clancy or is it Jack Ryan? Who's the author? Hang on. No, Tom Clancy is the author. Okay, it's the Jack Ryan series. That's what it is. So, I mean, these series obviously have been around forever. This is The Bear and the Dragon. And again, it's like in the middle of the series. Quite honestly, I don't really have any desire to read this book. I've never read any of the Jack Ryan series. And again, if I do, I don't think they'll be like good enough that I'm going to want to own them. So, this one's gonna go. This next one is also a huge honkin' book. This is The Lion's Game by Nelson DeMille. I don't know anything about this book or anything about this series. All I know is it is a series, and once again, it didn't intrigue me enough to want to pick it up. I think this is more mystery than thriller, or it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like one of those like FBI type of books, and those to me kind of seem to fall flat most of the time for what I personally enjoy, so we're gonna say goodbye. And the last book that I had gotten in the Half Price Books mystery box or bag is Black Wind, and this is by Clive Colster? Colster. There's no T in that. I don't know why I'm saying Colster. But Cussler. There we go. Clive Cussler. Oh, wait. And Dirk Cussler. So brothers, cousins, I don't know. Anyways, it's like a war novel, and it's just not my thing. So this one's not in my collection anymore. Even though it was only in my collection for like a couple days. Sorry to say, it's gotta go. I forgot I have one more of those books that I did thinking about keeping this one, but I was like, realistically, I'm not gonna ever read it. And that is Be Careful What You Wish For by Jeffrey Archer. Again, it's part of a series that I don't think I'm ever gonna pick up. It did seem a little bit interesting, so I kind of like put it on my shelf, and I took it back off my shelf, and I was like, I don't think that it's gonna be worth getting into, so. Yep. Okay, now we're going into books that have been on my shelf for quite a while that I'm just like, I'm never going to reread, or I'm never going to read it, or many different reasons. I don't really have like good reasons for getting rid of books. It's like there's something inherently wrong with the books that I'm getting rid of. They're just either books that I'm just don't ever see myself picking up, or that like I'm never going to pick up ever again, kind of thing. So that's just what it is. This one doesn't have the dust jacket, but it is Eclipse by Stephanie Meyer. I did not like Eclipse. I was a huge Twilight fan back in the day. Like, Twilight came out when I was in high school. I think the first book came out when I was a sophomore in high school, and that was like my very first introduction to YA. I read a lot of Christian fiction when I was younger, and so and a lot of middle grade, so I kind of skipped YA. I went from like middle grade to adult book. Didn't really know there was a whole YA genre. And then Twilight came out, and that was like my introduction into this whole world of books that I absolutely adore now. The only other copy I have is New Moon, which was one of my favorite. Actually, New Moon was my favorite book out of the series, because I am the Jacob stan all the way. Eclipse was like my least favorite. I know I'm pretty sure I've gotten rid of Twilight and Breaking Dawn because I don't have them anywhere on my shelves, so I figured Eclipse you can go to. Not to mention the fact that my copy of New Moon is paperback, and I like to collect my series all in the same covers. This is just gonna go bye-bye. So the next book is called Premonition, and this is by Randall Ermingston. And this is actually the second book in a series. I got this at Goodwill not knowing it was a second book. And so when I found that out, I was like, oh shoot, well I can't read it till I read this first one. I've never gotten around to the first one. I actually looked them up today because I was rearranging my shelves. And I saw that they have updated covers, and I was like, shoot, you know what? I like the updated covers way better. So I'm gonna go ahead and get book one. I'm probably gonna check it out from the library or something. Read that. If I like it, then I will go and purchase the series. I think it's like a trilogy. And I will purchase the new covers because I like them way better than I like this cover. Rich Man's War by Elliot Kay. This book I got in a giveaway off Goodreads. Like I said in the beginning, I was very excited about Goodreads giveaways, and I was like, I have to enter into everything. This, I believe, is part of a series. I believe it's an independent author or indie published, which is pretty cool. You know, I like to support that. But again, I'm never gonna read it. I think it's like a space opera kind of thing. Not really my favorite type of book, and I'm not gonna go out and get the first couple of books in the series. So this one, even though it's a floppy paperback, and I love floppy paperback, I just can't do it with this book. The next chunk of books are going to be ARCs that I don't want on my shelf anymore, because this whole shelf behind me is all ARCs that I haven't read yet, and it's bad. I'm bad at that. And none of these have actually were given to me by publishers to review. These were all arcs that I had won on Goodreads. So I don't feel like as bad about it than like if the author or the publisher like sent it to me directly. But I still feel bad because I did win it and I should review it. But I haven't. So these are some arcs that I'm going to get rid of because quite frankly I'm never going to read them. Actually, except for this one. This is A Blade So Black by L.L. McKinney. I did read this and I really enjoyed this book. Actually, the reason why I'm going to get rid of the arc is because I would like to own a physical copy and it wasn't like a favorite, so that the arc would be like cool to own, you know, like if it was like one of my favorite books then I'd totally keep the arc. But quite honestly, I don't need 2 copies of this book, just one will do. So I'm gonna get the finished copy, so this one's going to go. This is, what is this? Where Are You, Kevin Belstow by Brock Clark. Yeah, one I won on Goodreads. Never had an interest in reading this, so I figured it's time to let it go. Burn Cycle by Joel Dane. This is actually a sequel to a Cry pilot, but I don't know, I think it's sci-fi. Sci-fi is not my biggest genre. I'm way more into fantasy than I am to sci-fi. And since it is a sequel, and I haven't read the first book, I'm gonna go ahead and unhaul this one. Next up is The Theory of Death by Faye Kellerman. This is like book like 20 something I think, or 13 or something like that in the series, and I'm like, whoa, not gonna ever catch up. I don't even know what this is about. Decker Lazarus novel. I don't know. I have no idea what it's about, but the fact that it is, you know, so far along in the series, it looks like it's police detective type books, which are hit and miss for me, so it's time to get this one off my shelf. After that, the next book I'm unhauling is Horror Stories by Liv Fair. I think Fair, I think is how you pronounce her name. This is a memoir, but I don't know who she is. Maybe like that's bad of me to like, I don't know if she's a super famous person or not. Obviously she has a memoir, she'd be more, you know, well known, but I don't know her. I have no desire to read it, so goodbye. Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. This I was actually really excited when I won the arc for this because I was really looking forward to reading it, but it's just such a big book and I don't know, I feel like if I'm gonna read this, I want to read it on audio. If you guys haven't seen any of my previous videos, you may not know that I have cognitive disability that makes reading physically difficult for me. And so a book this big, and I'm guessing it's gonna be pretty dense because it's like epic fantasy, I would much rather read or listen to an audiobook because of my cognitive stuff. It's just easier for me to understand. And I mean, it's a beautiful book. The cover is stunning. I don't know, I really like epic fantasy, but like, I just don't think I'm ever gonna physically read it. So I'm just gonna pass it on. And then we have Dream Daughter. So this is actually what the cover of it looks like. This is by Diane Chamberlain. Yeah, this one is kind of more of a like women's lit. I don't know if it's considered contemporary, but I guess this lady's daughter like passes away, but then like in her dreams she's still alive, or like in an alternate dimension she's still alive or something. I don't know. Again, not really my genre, not really what I like to read. I'm sure it's kind of like a hard hitting. I'm sure it's a really good book. It's just not really my thing. So since it's been sitting on my shelf since October of 2018, actually before that because it's an arc. Yeah. Time for it to go. Next up is Flash Zombies, and this is by R.C. Carter and J.P. Carter. It is the second in the series. It's signed and personalized, so I thought that was pretty cool. And I had it forever, and I just still haven't read the first book. It's a crime series, like a crime novel about zombies. It sounds really cool. But again, I'm kind of like, am I ever gonna read it? I don't know. Why keep it on my shelves if it's just gonna sit there and take up space from books that I will read? So this one is going to go. Alright, and then I have just some random like little books here. I have a bunch of quilting books that I'm getting rid of because I was really into sewing for a while. I still like sewing, and I got all these books. I'm like, I want to learn how to quilt. And while I still do, there's so much information online that I'm like, I don't need all these books, especially because a lot of them are like quite old. And I just am like, am I ever gonna pick you up? Probably not. So we have Super Simple Quilts by Alex Anderson and Liz, however you pronounce that name. We have Spectacular Scraps by Jody Hooworth and Margaret Rolfe. Firm Foundations, Techniques and Quilt Blocks for Precise Piecing by Janet Hall and Dixie Haywood. I mean, these are kind of interesting, you know, like, I mean, they have, you can't even see that. Teaches you how to quilt, but again, I could get all this stuff online, and I can get it online. I Can't Believe I'm Sewing by Pat Sloan. This one was kind of cute. They did have some cute patterns in here, but nothing that I can't easily access on YouTube or whatever. Then I have a couple coloring books that I'm like, I love coloring books, but I have so many. I'm like, I just need to purge and like get rid of some things, make myself feel better about myself. I was a consultant for Usborne Books for a while. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but I have since learned a lot about MLMs and decided I don't want any part of them. So I no longer consult for them, but I did love their books. And so I just have a coloring book. It's Clothes and Fashions to Color. And these actually were really cool because they're like teaching the history of the clothing and stuff. But I'm not interested in fashion. My mom really is, so I'm probably just gonna give her this book. And then I just have 2 other coloring books that I just picked up for super cheap at the store that I'm like, they're cool, but I have other coloring books that I like a lot more that are actually like, you know, I have like Dracula and Disney villains and Greek mythology and those kind of books. So I really like those, and so these ones are just gonna go. I believe that is all. Yep, that's all the books I'm unhauling. So it feels good. Whew, get them out of here, make room for more books. I just bought a whole bunch more books. I still don't have room on my shelves because I just bought a whole bunch of new books. But, you know, it's how it goes when you like books, when you're a book collector. So yeah, that's it. That's my unhaul. Sorry if it's kind of not the best video, but I really, like I said, didn't feel like sitting down and getting all dolled up and making it more professional looking because I just want to get these books out of here. I'm about to run to the charity shop and just get rid of them. So that is that. Hope you enjoyed my unhaul. I don't know what else to say except for look forward to a haul video soon that I will show you the other books that I bought at Half Price Books, which I am super stoked about. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching my video. Subscribe if you would, please. I'm really trying to get back into Booktube, and I don't know what else to say because I feel like I'm just rambling and being awkward now. So see you in the next video.